At 6:30. We have a quorum. We'll call a planning board meeting to order. And those in attendance for the planning board are myself, Jim Maximowski, Joe Zagrodnik, Kishore Parmar, Mark Dunn, and Bill Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer, first up for general information.
Just a second. I'm like one more person in.
Okay.
The first one to log in was Susan Del Molino, but I'm assuming that that's for the public hearings that are coming up in a bit. So the next in was Heather McKenzie.
You're muted, Heather.
Hello, hi, thank you. I'm here on behalf of Sunshine Sign Company. We had filed a permit for some signage.
Megan Shadley for me.
Which property was this?
It's 333 Venture Way.
Okay, yes, I did send that around. Are you able to screen share and put it up?
I am on a mobile phone at the moment, so.
Let me see if I can retrieve it.
Okay, thank you.
I do a lot of work with Sunshine at work. I don't have to recuse myself, do I?
Can you tell me what email this would have come in under?
Bill K at sunshinesign.com.
Okay. Okay. I do have the first of the two, so let's bring that up. Here. So this is one of two that were submitted.
Yes.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
It is quite large.
Do we have an area? How many square feet?
322 square feet.
Oh yeah, there it is.
The bylaw allows for 64 square feet.
Okay.
Unless you are doing a direct replacement of the previous sign that was there.
That one is new. That one would not be a replacement.
Okay. So that's the building sign, and the pylon sign comes to 33 square feet. But it appears to be internally illuminated. Is that correct?
It is not illuminated.
It is not illuminated.
No.
What date was that email, Bill?
It was.
I believe he said 10/14. He sent it over.
Let me just double check here. Yes, 10/14. And I forwarded it around that morning.
Right.
Okay, that's just the owner authorization. So let's go back to this. What was the address for this one again?
333 Venture Way.
Okay. I see there is a note on the plan that 322 square feet is less than 10% of the facade, but that is not what our bylaw says.
Okay,
We did try to get that adopted about 15 years ago. Couldn't even get a majority, much less a 2/3 majority at town meeting.
okay.
Is there an existing sign on there currently or no?
There is no sign on the building. The second sign that he was showing, there is an existing sign that one will be replacing.
Do you know if this is a new tenant?
So the existing tenant is American River Nutrition, and they were bought out by Everwell.
Okay, so it's going to continue the same operation.
Yes, just under new ownership.
Well, would you like to come back in 2 weeks with something that matches the bylaw?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. See you then. Same
you.
same login information. It'll be in the agenda that's posted the week before.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's see. Next in was Chris Chamberlain.
Hello, and I actually have quick items on 2 different projects. And my internet blipped a minute ago, so I hope that doesn't happen while I'm trying to talk. The first one is we are looking for the board's approval to use a peer reviewer for the 41 Russell Street project that is not on the pre-approved list. That list of 4 companies, one of them is me. A couple others are too busy, and we have a potential conflict of interest with a 4th one. So we're hoping to use Kelly Killeen of CHA Consulting, but the board may know him better from the former name of that organization, which is Kohler and Colantonio. They did the whole Home Depot complex, and I understand they did a few other projects in Hadley years ago. So they're very familiar with the board and the peer review process and the bylaws. So we're hoping that we can get approval to use Kelly and CHA as our peer reviewer.
Unfortunately, we have no experience with them as a peer reviewer. The reason we use certain peer reviewers is because they're very familiar with our zone bylaws and they work for the town. And I'm afraid, no, why can't you use, you've got a list of 4.
Yeah. So one of them is a possibility. It's just that the person who actually does the peer reviews is opposing a project that we're working on next to his house. So I was reluctant to do that. So formally not necessarily a conflict of interest, but I was reluctant to do that. And knowing that that this individual had worked in Hadley, we hoped that would be a potential alternative. But if that's not going to meet the board's requirements, then we'll have to go a different route than that.
And the other 2 are
Very busy, he said.
Yeah. And my first choice was Bucky Sparkle. He said he couldn't even get it done by the December date that we're trying to hit the meeting. Yeah, and like you said, I got a too busy response.
I'm open to suggestion from the board.
What's the project?
This is the 41 Russell Street Senior Housing at the Hampton Inn.
Yeah, I have to recuse myself on this one.
Yep.
Okay, that's a big project.
Correct.
I'm going to be honest with you. I prefer not to use somebody we don't already recognize.
Understood.
Put the hearing off accordingly, and we probably should do that. If it was a small project, maybe would consider, but this is a sizable project.
Okay.
There's a lot involved. I'm not trying to be by any stretch of mean. I'm just trying to be consistent.
So
No, that's
tell us.
totally understandable. It doesn't hurt to come in and have the discussion.
Yeah, but tell us a little more. You named one person and then just gave a couple of firm names. So,
Sure. So there's so your list has Berkshire Design, us, Bucky Sparkle, Hatchmont McDonald, which has split up, and they go by Mott McDonald now. So there's a little bit of a different company there, and then Ty and Bond.
okay.
And yeah,
And you nominated who?
uh, Kelly Killeen at CHA Consulting.
And the connection to Hadley is?
So CHA bought out the company Kohler and Colantonio. And when Kelly was there, he was the design engineer for the entire Home Depot complex. And I think the most recent project was the Town Place Suites.
No, it was a Homewood Suites.
Or the Homewood Suite, I'm sorry.
You did the Town Place.
Yes, that's right.
So the firm has done a couple of projects in Hadley.
They have, that's correct.
And how recently? I guess.
So the Town Place was within the last 5 years.
Sorry, Homewood Suites.
Homewood Suites.
At the Home Depot site, which was, I want to say 5-ish years ago.
2019 is when we opened.
Okay.
So it does seem that that firm does have recent experience. Well, at least Kohler and Colantonio.
And if it would make a difference, I could certainly get Kelly to put a resume together with the projects in Hadley that he personally was involved in as the engineer of record.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Would that make you more comfortable, Jim, knowing he had worked on a couple of projects for us? Or presented a couple of projects to us. Both of those went through fairly smoothly, as I recall.
Well, I'm one person. I don't want to by any means be the dominant one here. I want this to be a consensus of the board.
You know, we have changed, we've updated our list from time to time as people have moved on or whatever. Yeah, if you want to get something from him, just highlighting some of his Hadley experience,
Okay.
we can take another look at it.
Okay.
Is Robert Hall Consulting Engineers in West Springfield still in business?
They are. I thought they were just a mechanical engineer and plumbing. I don't know that they do site design.
Well, the only reason I say that is because years ago, we used to use Robert Hall Consulting Engineers as a peer reviewer.
Okay.
Dr. Zabronic would remember that. Remember that?
I've worked with them several times, so I can reach out and see if that's something they feel they're still qualified to do.
I don't know if I don't know if they're back then they were into civil.
Okay.
I don't know if they are now.
I'm pretty sure they're not, but I would be happy to check if that's a name that the board is already comfortable with.
Yeah, check with them, and in the meantime, pursue the avenue that Mr. Dwyer recommended.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. And then separately, I am taking the place of Jeff Squire from our company just to check in on the senior housing project on Middle Street. My understanding that there's been some conversations in the past about potentially needing to do that as a subdivision and potential frontage issues. And we think we have identified an avenue to let that project move forward with just an A&R. And I wanted to go over that real quickly and see if it raises any red flags for the board, so that we don't get too far down the road and then find out that we're chasing a dead end. And I think this can be really quick, but it would be if I could get the share authorization of the
Yeah,
original share.
let me just clear that.
Great.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. And so these are the two parcels that we're talking about. The first thing that I want to highlight is we're showing the zoning map. So these parcels are located in the business zone and in the central senior overlay. They are outside of the aquifer protection, and I understand that came up as a potential issue as regards the size of the frontage. And so in the current condition of these lots, we have two lots. The northern lot has a frontage of about 230 feet. The southern lot has a frontage of 160 feet. And of course, in the business zone, the minimum frontage is 175. So this southern lot is an existing non-conforming. And so since it's in the business but not in the aquifer protection, we have a 175-foot frontage requirement. And the senior housing overlay has a 50-foot frontage requirement. So what we see as a valid route through, this is Randy's survey we've been kicking around a little bit, would be to do an A&R to take land from both of those lots. On the southern lot, the frontage would remain unchanged, so it's still non-conforming, but it has the same non-conformance as today. And by all other aspects, the remaining lot would conform with zoning. And then we'd have a conforming lot remaining with the house on the north. And that would leave enough room to create a 50-foot frontage and access way to the back. And then we would want these two lots to be combined. And the A&R would come through noting that this new property is a building lot solely for a project that's approved under the senior housing overlay, because that frontage is less than would be required for a general building lot. So that's a little bit of an unusual scenario, but our surveyor thinks that that's valid. I know Randy could weigh in whether he thinks there's any issue with that. But that would be, we'd leave two existing frontage lots, one of which is non-conforming, but in the same way that it is today, and we're not increasing that. And then we'd have a lot that conforms as a senior housing overlay lot, but would not conform as a building lot for any other purpose in this zone. And so the question is, does that seem viable?
Put that by me again.
Okay. So the A&R would divide the two separate lots that exist today. We would have a frontage lot here that's fully conforming in the end. We would have a lot here that conforms in all aspects except the frontage, which is today non-conforming, and it would have the same frontage that it is today. And then the remaining land would all be merged into a single lot, which would meet zoning if a senior housing overlay project is approved on it, because the overlay only requires 50 feet of frontage, but this would not be a valid building lot for any other type of project that might be proposed here. And that distinction would be noted on the A&R that got brought forward.
And this is within the senior housing overlay?
It is, yes. And part of the reason this becomes important is if we pursued the subdivision route, there are a number of requirements that we may not, that we would be seeking waivers for, a couple that may not even be possible to comply with in this arrangement. And so that would interject additional uncertainty. It may be that we can still get the project to work there, but this, we came up with this this week and seemed viable if it passes muster. And we're not looking for an approval of this way forward. This is really just a, hey, here's something that really doesn't work that the board might have a serious problem with.
Okay, so where are you picking up the 50-foot frontage?
So the 50 feet comes out of the existing 230 feet that the northern property currently has, which leaves 180, actually 181, which exceeds the 175 that's
I
required.
understand the math, but I'm just looking at the bylaw.
Oh, sure.
What section?
Oh, sorry. Oh boy, I meant to look that up. I think it's in the text of the senior housing overlay.
27.3.2.1.
Thank you.
3.2.1.
And I just realized I pulled this up while you're looking at it, so. There.
27,
Point three.
3.2. Got it.
Yep, and I'm showing it on my screen as well.
Well, it's not shared. We're still seeing the plan.
Oh, sorry, I shared just the PDF window.
Yeah.
Zoom, what you see and what I see are not necessarily the same.
Okay, well, I have it up, so if you want to stop sharing, I will share. Oh, no, you have it up now.
Great.
Okay. Well, I didn't remember that. However, just to put it in context, this will only be the second senior housing project. Well, it'll be the third senior housing project that's been filed since the bylaw was adopted about 14 years ago.
Right.
So I had not remembered that, but there it is.
Mhm.
I did not realize that that this was not in the aquifer.
Right, I understood. I heard you had made a comment earlier about that larger frontage, so that's why we also wanted to highlight that, so there's no confusion going forward.
You're so close to the Callahan Wells. Barely a mile away. I'm surprised that it's not, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Right.
So it's 50-foot frontage. It would be basically a driveway.
Correct.
Right, so it's almost as if the senior housing overlay still allows a flag lot. It's just not called a flag lot.
Correct.
Well, it seems viable.
Okay, no,
Okay, I'm not hearing any objections. That's really all the question was.
the points you have raised seem correct.
Okay,
Can
that's
you
all we're looking
reshare
for
your-
today. Appreciate your time.
Can you reshare the site plan that showed the boundaries
sure.
of the aquifer protection?
Sure. Let me bring that back up. And this is just a screenshot of the viewer.
So it's well beyond the it's a couple 100 feet beyond the boundaries of your.
There it is.
Okay.
How many houses are proposed?
We're still working on that. But it's a duplex project. The idea will be to come in with a driveway and have a circular loop road and then a series of duplexes. Somewhat similar to Barry's project. We're still very, very early.
And you will have the affordable housing on site.
That is my understanding. As I said, I'm filling in, so I don't know all the details.
No, I'm just making sure that you know that. That's all.
I am aware. I'm aware of the text. I'm very aware of the text changes to the senior housing overlay.
That's doable, I think.
Okay,
You're
great. I know you have a busy agenda. I'll get right off. Thank you very much.
you.
Thanks, Chris.
Next up was Attorney Reedy.
Thanks, Bill. I am here with Barry. I had sent in last Friday application for a dual use solar project on some land off Rocky Hill Road. It's land that Barry currently hays and has hayed in the past. As you know, dual use solar agrivoltaic keeps the underlying agricultural use and puts the array on top of that land. So I sent in, it's a 2 megawatt AC project, the land itself, and I can share my screen just to orient everyone for what we're talking about. So you can see my screen. It's this area right here. It's comprised of this parcel and this parcel.
What's the
And the-
address up there, Tom?
Pardon me?
Address.
think it's
I
North
don't
Maple
know
then,
that. I
isn't
mean, 0 North Maple Street, because it has frontage on North Maple Street. It's map 10C, parcel 61-1 and 61. So I don't know, we can call it 0 North Maple if you want, because it has that frontage over here on North Maple.
And can you access it from that frontage, or would you have to cross over a protected? I saw that you had a 20-foot easement across Brenda's.
Yeah, so great question, Mark. So it's an 18-foot wide right of way here that we have but haven't used. She has like a nice stone wall there, and I've represented Brenda, and I haven't talked to her about it yet. There is a farm road here that has been used, that Barry's used, and I think it's been used. I could go back in the title and tell you everybody who's used it, but there's access in a farm road that I don't know that there are documented rights to it, but it has been at least prescriptive easement rights since probably the 1960s. It shows up on plans, and I know that it's been used. So the proposal would be, let me stop sharing this one. I'll bring up the plan just quickly so we can run through that so I can explain it to you. So here you go. This is just an aerial of what we're talking about here. The array is going to exist in the field. I'll scroll down to existing conditions, and then I'll go
Where's the senior overlay? The senior housing proposed.
the BAB property is I'll scroll back up, Joe.
That's up to
So-
the east.
Right, Home Depot, Elaine Manor. This is Venture Way right here. So up here is the BAB property.
Yeah, all right.
Right, so you got the kind of the North Maple, South Maple, Route 9 intersection. So we're talking about right over here. And so, Mark, the proposal is to actually come in with the utilities off of North Maple.
Yep.
To come in above ground, to drop underground using the existing farm road, to stay underground, to come back up about over here, and then to span the wetlands to avoid impact. And then the electrical equipment pad is here. So this is where the electrical lines would be interconnected to. And then access would come in just as it has been, when Barry goes into actually, he's thinking about either haying or grazing. In this area, we've got 14-foot row spacing in between the panels, and it meets all the other DOER smart ag requirements. So vehicular access here, farm access here, and then, like I said, electrical access is coming in this way. So it's a 64-acre parcel, and we're only staying, there's going to be some tree clearing. We're staying outside, I believe, the 35-foot no-touch zone. There is some buffer zone work just for some tree clearing, but otherwise really staying within that existing farm field.
So how much is the total acreage?
The total acreage of the site is 64. The panels take up 10. I want to say it's like 9 point something, but I don't have that number specifically. The area inside the fence is, I think, 12 and a half.
And these are trackers.
And these are trackers, correct? Yeah,
And
and again, if you recall, I think it was here maybe a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, to ask for a waiver of the battery energy storage requirements or support for our request for an exception. And when Smart 3.0, which is the latest program, came out, they actually don't require battery storage for projects which, amongst other things, meet certain criteria, land siting criteria, and ag is one of them. So we don't need to, and we're not proposing any battery storage. nor would we based on our conversations. So, yeah, Mark, trackers, 14-foot separation, 18 feet in between here.
And using helical piles, no concrete.
I don't know that. That's a good question. I would imagine helical piles. I think it's just pile driven because the ground is really suitable for it in this area. But I just don't know, given, I mean, you know, with dual use, you're up higher because you're tracking in order to get the farm equipment in and around it. So I think just a really good reuse of an existing agricultural area.
So the primary entrance would be from Rocky Hill Road?
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, as you know, that's what is used currently. When Barry goes out there to hay or to bale, he's coming in that driveway. And so there would be, you know, and we could talk about coordination during construction, police detail, et cetera, anytime there's, you know, panels being delivered or materials being delivered. The nice thing about this is there's not really any excavation. I mean, there's probably some minimal grading that has to happen, but you're leaving a lot of the existing field the way that it is. There's probably some leveling over here, but we can certainly coordinate, you know, with police and DPW for any impact to Rocky Hill. And we can always route folks to come up North Maple, take the left onto Rocky Hill, and then come in through this way.
Side hill, is the side hill steep there as you would enter for example, the fire truck?
I mean, Barry, you can talk to it. I've been back there before. It's not. This, you know, this area here is a depression that probably ends up getting filled in. But when you come in here, I mean, it's really flat and it slopes. I mean, the high point is up here and everything kind of slopes southerly and then easterly. Barry, how are there any steep?
It's not steep at all.
There you go.
Yeah, I think there was a further to the north, there's an
Right.
opening onto Rocky Hill that's too steep.
Yeah, but one of the qualifications is access for fire equipment, so
Yeah.
We'll talk to the fire chief to make sure he's comfortable with what's going on here.
Yep.
So you're looking for what, Tom?
We're just submitting. So filing fee, hearing date, the abutters list's ready at the assessor's office. So I just have to go pick that up, get the 2 sets of envelopes, get them over to Jim. So we're just looking to start that process.
The Keyshore, I don't want to get in the middle of this one, but the original idea for the 41 Russell Street senior housing was to have a public hearing on November 18th. Which means I needed to know today if that's an absolute go. Because I've got to get the mailings out and the notice in the newspaper. So since you don't know as a company about who's going to be your reviewing engineer,
Do we have to delay it?
we're going to have to, I mean, if we could hold a public hearing date, but we're not going to have anything to present. This has been reviewed, so it could be changing. So you may want to move that to I mean, you're going to have to probably move it because Shardul at the last meeting said they would have a firm information as to whether or not they could meet the 18th. But it doesn't look like that's a realistic idea. So December 16th is probably going to be the next hearing date.
What would be the downfall if we did send it out and we couldn't present properly?
You could present. The only problem is you're not going to get a decision until we get a clean review letter.
You'd have to.
Depending what the review letter comes up with.
But what's the timetable for the review letter? Like if we get it next week or intended?
I have no idea that's up to you and the reviewing engineer what the review letter is going to be.
No, what I'm saying is if we do, like
You don't have, you can't use one of our approved engineers.
Okay.
So you're going to have to come back in 2 weeks to get approval to use either the one that is proposed, this one that did the Home Depot or this Robert Hall. So you don't want to spend money on a reviewing engineer until you have approval to use that company.
Okay,
You know
understood.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, I mean, you could, but that's awfully risky.
No, understood. Yeah, I'll contact Chartwell and in the morning we'll go from there.
Okay,
Okay, so then that opens the question of whether this project before us, the Barry Roberts project, can be ready for November 18th
correct.
or put off to December 16th.
Which one would you prefer? Can you make it?
18th.
Pardon?
18th.
You want 11/18?
I'll reach out to, I mean, is there gonna be a peer review on this one?
Is there wetlands involved and stuff?
There are, we have submitted for an ANRAD. We're working with Kayla on that. And I mean, we've got a stormwater report, we've got these plans, we can go almost right to NOI, but yes, there are wetlands involved. We're not violative of the Hadley Wetlands Bylaw, no touch zone. And we're really staying within the footprint of the field, so I don't anticipate any issues. But you tell us what you want us to do.
Did you talk to Steve about if you want to go through with the ANRAD or if you want to try for the NOI? Because for our November meeting, we actually are going to overlap with planning board. So conservation's meeting the 18th also.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, I'd say, divide and conquer. I think we're just looking to push this through the process, and so I'll talk to him. I think he wanted to stay with ANRAD because he didn't know that we had these plans all done. So I'll talk to him tomorrow, and then we can figure out if we want to do ANRAD or if we just want to go through NOI. But it's a pretty simple project overall, to be honest.
I feel like maybe we should have someone look at the other farms that we're dealing with have been in production for a long time. This has been sort of a special case. I guess there is some work going on out there. A little topography. I don't know if we should be worried about drainage or let Conservation Commission worry about that.
Is this the one where they were gonna put the,
No, this is next door. So this has been hayed, Barry. I don't know if you remember how long you've been haying it, but I mean, it's a mature hayfield.
I've been in it for the last 6, 7 years, 6 or 7 years.
And so, Jim, this is next to, I'll just share my screen really quickly again. Where my mouse is, if you can see it,
yes,
this area is where that book annex was gonna go.
okay,
That's off-site. We'll likely give an electrical easement or get an electrical easement to come over there. Barry owns this one as well. But given, this one's in production, he's been hanging it, it really fits the bill of what DOER is looking for their solar ag program. That's what we're going to use. And so, like I said, really minimal, if any, grading. And I think you can see, you'll see the notes on the plan to that end. So just my point is a little bit different. It's been in production. It's not like it's grown up and now is overgrown like that area to the east. This has actually been hayed.
And the intent, this is a dual use agrivoltaic, so it's gonna be hayed or it's gonna be something else?
Yeah, hayed, but looking at grazing too, considering grazing, getting some cattle in there.
yeah, we don't know if we need, I mean, if you're gonna have something for, conservation, and we can probably just utilize that.
Okay.
It's my 2 cents, I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
It seems reasonable.
So we could set your hearing for the 18th.
Perfect.
Just a lot to just open up.
Thanks, Kishore.
Wait, why do you think?
Yeah, You just get me the mailing labels down.
Okay, and will you let me know,
Once I get the notice in the newspaper, I'll email you the price.
and then we'll drop it off. So I'll drop off, how many copies of this, should I bring to you want me to bring it right to the clerk or to your house?
We will two copies of mailing labels.
Right, but for the plans themselves,
Let's see, the fire department wants one for the town, probably three sets.
3 full-size sets and maybe 1 reduced size set for the town clerk.
all right, so 111 by 17, 24 by 36s plus the supporting material. I'll give, fire probably doesn't care about stormwater. I'll give 2 copies of the stormwater. It's just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
100 and whatever pages. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're right. Next in was Mr. Iser. Are you just here for the public hearing on the subdivision? Oh, you're muted.
I'm here for something else as well.
Okay, then you're up.
Okay, I have a question or two. 21 Grand Oak Farm, this came in at the last minute. I'm just asking questions. I don't have any proposal or anything like that. These people own a building lot with their house on it. They own a open space lot next door. In the past, we dealt with open space in another section of this subdivision, realizing that the 30-year time frame had expired and it could be utilized for whatever. We turned some of it into a building lot, getting land from one of the neighbors. Anyhow, these people, I have 2 questions. Number one, they want to possibly build an ADU, but they don't have enough space on their house lot. So could we combine the open space with the house lot and then utilize that for an ADU? I'm not familiar enough with the ADU laws to know if that was an option. That's question number 1. And then question number 2 gets interesting. This woman, after we talked about the ADU, did some homework looking through the bylaw, and in section 4.3.7, it talks about lot width and the 150-foot square, but that the planning board may, but is not required to, issue a special permit as provided in section 6.2.2 to permit lot width of no less than 75% of the minimum lot width required when, in its judgment, such action is in the public interest and not inconsistent with the intent of this bylaw. The reason I'm telling you this is the open space lot it has more than enough frontage. It does not have enough area, so they would try to buy some from an abutter, but it does not have the ability to put this 150-foot square in it. And I have never seen this bylaw in use in this town, and I was curious to know what the board thought about it.
I honestly don't know about that one. What is that section again?
4.3.7. And much like the 50-foot frontage in the for the senior overlay, I had never seen this either. I was quite taken aback when she showed this to me.
Well, the 150 by 150 square is not new.
No, that I'm not questioning that, Joe, but the board's ability to reduce it is what this bylaw says can happen. And again, I'm just trying to find out what the board's thoughts on this.
So the frontage we can't change,
Right?
but the lot width, at some point, the lot width became separated from the frontage.
Yeah,
So the lot width is smaller and it's the 150 square. And
correct.
you know, I think this is one that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Okay.
So I think we have to see what we're working with or what we're looking at here.
Well, in essence, what you're working with is the ability to create a building lot from a piece of open space. And I hear what you're saying, Bill, and I'm not trying to push. I'm just trying to give you a little bit more information. So what we have is this open space, which in and of itself cannot support a building lot because the 150-foot square won't fit in it. So if this relief was granted, then it could be turned into a building lot, but I will be more than happy to show you.
Now,
But not tonight.
On the open space,
Yeah,
I would like to see the deed covenant. Is this open space in perpetuity? How is it worded?
understood. Yeah, we did this behind Omasta's house, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, Jimmy, maybe 5. Where there was an open space lot and Omasta bought it, and then they bought some land from a neighbor or somebody bought it. Anyhow, it got turned into a building lot. I can get you that information. I'll look at this and let you know. I just wanted to broach the subject. That's all.
Where's the location of the lot, just so we could drive by?
It's right next door to 21 Grand Oak Farm.
And do you propose that it would be in the public interest, and how so?
Well, it would be in the public interest in that we would have another house to tax. And that would be about the only public interest that I can think of at this point in time, but it would be very helpful.
It has nothing to do with that road, that Phantom Road that was required.
No, that's off of Bay Road, Joe. This
Right.
lot is on the northern side of the property. It butts up against Richard Yarrow's property.
Okay.
That's on Moody Bridge.
There would also be, I remember there is an issue about septic
hill.
capacity that's over the aquifer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So you're saying septic capacity, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So that would be if they put an ADU in there.
Well, if they separate it out as a building lot, just because it's buildable for zoning purposes doesn't mean it can support
Right.
the septic requirements.
Understood. Yeah, understood.
So,
Yeah, that would be something they'd have to figure out as well, certainly. But what I would do, next meeting, I will bring whatever information I can, show you what I'm talking about. And then once I hear what the pleasure of the board is relative to that, I will advise my client as to whether they should go get a perk test, et cetera, et cetera. And they will have to buy land from a neighbor to get enough area. And that is all I have until Mr. Quinlan is up.
okay. Next in was Matthew Cody. I'm sorry, I don't remember if you were here for one of the public hearings, or do you have an issue for planning board?
I'm here for the hearing, the
Okay.
first 2 hearings.
And likewise, Jake Marley, if you're here for a hearing,
Yes.
okay. Tony Fidenkevitz,
I'm here for one of the hearings as well. Thank you.
okay. Let's see, Justin Giloth. Justin, are you here for a hearing or with a question for the planning board?
You're muted, Justin.
Sorry about that. I'm here for a hearing.
Okay. And Austin Hazelhurst,
I'm here for the hearing.
okay. And 1327,
Oh, hi there. I'm here for a hearing.
okay.
Thank you.
And I had one other name down here, but they seem to have Jis Barty. I'm not seeing them. Okay, and Doug, Cyril, you're here for the hearings?
Yes, I am. I'm here with Jake Marley.
Okay. Okay. then that's all of the office hours business.
Okay, the first several should be pretty simple. Several of these solar public hearings, we had to continue because we didn't have a four-member board. Mr. Dwyer could not participate because he had a conflict, I believe. And Mr. Primar, you have reviewed the video of the last meeting on October 7th, and you have signed a sheet saying such.
Correct.
Okay, therefore, we'll open a public hearing for 133A Mount Warner Road. And if there's any questions or concerns from anybody else?
Joseph Grodnick not participating. I'm on a butter.
Okay,
So as it happens, this is the one that I can participate in. So I am going to make the motion for the 131A,
133.
133A. And then I would suggest going forward that when others make a motion on subsequent projects, that you just say and incorporate by reference the language I'm going to read out, so you don't all have to read it.
Okay,
So just a simpler, it'd be a simpler motion. So on the 133A, I'll make a motion to approve the application based on the following findings: satisfies the general purposes of the bylaw, not detrimental to the established or future character of the neighborhood, in harmony with the general intent of the bylaw. The work will be done in accordance with the plans which were submitted. And who's here for 133A?
So, Mr. Matt Cody on behalf of Beals and Thomas, here on behalf of Solar Collective, the applicant.
Okay.
And Justin, who we mentioned earlier, is, Solar Collective.
Okay, and what set of plans, what is the latest set of plans, the one that you filed? I don't think you did any changes to the one you filed.
Correct. Those were dated August 28th.
28th?
Yes.
Okay. And the actual application package, was that also dated the 28th?
I assume. I don't know off the top of my head, but I assume it all went in together, yes.
Okay. Okay. Do that then. Copies of the application have been distributed as provided in the bylaw. The proposal satisfies site plan review criteria and commercial development performance standards contained in section H. The approval is for a dual use ground mounted solar panel that allow for agricultural activities to occur under it. No signs other than emergency notification, no outdoor lighting, no storage trailers, shipping containers, etc. No performance security under the site plan approval bylaw, as the solar bylaw contains adequate provision for performance security, subject to approval of other boards if and as required. Any project changes by other boards must be approved by the planning board. And this is a large-scale ground-mounted solar energy system. Large scale will be screened from view from public ways and neighboring properties by distance. Performance security. You did file something with us on performance security. Could you just give me that?
Correct. Yes, that was provided to the board on October 15th. And for this site, that was $29,572.
29,500?
Yeah, 72.
And that's your direct cost?
Correct.
Okay, then we have to allow for prevailing wage, so we have to multiply that by 1.5.
I'm sorry, that is 1 point, like that is the total one. That is the, so I guess the decommissioning cost was 19,714. and the 1.5 includes it gets it to the 29,572.
Okay,
Apologize.
okay. Absent notice of proposed decommissioning, the system shall be considered abandoned when the system fails to operate for more than 1 year. And must be removed at the end of its life, or will remove it. We have performed an administrative review. You've satisfied those conditions. And we are issuing a special permit, being asked to issue a special permit. And again, with no site lighting, no signs, no pertinent structures. Well, actually, you do, well, okay. You provide a copy of the project summary, electrical schematic, and site plan to the local emergency services. Designed to prevent unauthorized access. Well, actually, you're not going to be doing that. You'll have open access, so I'll take that out. That's it. A motion to approve on those conditions.
Any motion?
So moved.
And a second. Any other discussions? And you're participating, Joe, correct?
No, I'm participating in this one.
Oh, you're participating in this one, okay,
Yeah, so it's me, you, Kishore, and Mark,
that's fine,
and Joe is abstaining.
staying, okay. That is fine. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussions?
What is the language about the decommissioning? Is there something like they have to return the land to its, previous condition or something?
Yes.
Okay.
The owner operator shall physically remove the solar system no more than 150 days after the date of discontinued operation. At the time of removal, the solar system site shall be restored to the same state it was in before the system was constructed.
Excellent.
Or any other legally authorized use. More specifically, decommissioning shall consist of physical removal of all solar structures, equipment, security barriers, and transmission lines, disposal of all solid and hazardous waste in accordance with local and state regulations, and stabilization or revegetation of the site as necessary.
I like that.
And that's all provided for in the bylaw. I just reiterate it, so you have it all in one place.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.
Armor, aye.
Zagradnik not participating. Motion passes 4-0 with one abstain. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Next one is to review the same type of a solar application for Parsons Farm at 143 Mill Valley Road. That's continued also from 10-7. And again, same thing. Pretty much all of the topics were covered, and just Mr. Parmar we needed the fourth vote. Mr. Parmar was not here. He saw reviewed the video, et cetera, signed a fight form. So we're all set to go.
And that's another 2 megawatts? Or is that less than?
Was that, Mark?
Is that another 2 megawatts, or this one was the smaller one, right?
240 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You can participate in this one, Mr. Dwyer?
I am not going to participate in this one.
Okay.
So someone else has to make the motion.
The motion would be, what did you say we should what?
I'd say just make a motion to approve. I suggest making a motion to approve it on the same terms and conditions that I just read out for the first one.
I will make a motion to approve this this dual agricultural solar array on the same conditions as previously mentioned for 133A Mount Warner Road.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer abstain.
Maximowski, aye.
Farmar, aye.
Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. That motion passes.
Thank you very much. I guess just one question on that, like the decommissioning value is different on that one though, correct?
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. What's the decommissioning value on that one?
So the direct cost was 9,279, and then the 1.5 gets it to 13,918.
19,980.
918. 13,918.
Okay.
That would be the only difference from the.
Okay. That's
And
fine.
that has the same plan dates.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love the agricultural solar voltaic. Dual use. Next one is the continuation of the Town Quinlan subdivision at 145 Bay Road, very small subdivision for 2 lots, also continued from 10/7. And there was a couple of issues on that one that we wanted to address, I believe.
Yeah, so I was not here for that meeting, but Mr. Quinlan informed me, and Mr. Dwyer for that matter, that you guys wanted the turnaround to be part of the subdivision road. So I changed the plan and sent it to Bill last week. Hopefully he can put it up on the screen and we can take a look at that.
Let me go looking for that.
There's a discussion around the turnaround, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was, it looked like the hammerhead was still not part of it, but maybe I was looking at an old plan.
Let's see. This is.
That is it.
Hmm.
All right, so the last plan had the turnaround in a portion of the Hadley box on lot 2. I have since extended it to the end of the road and basically recreated the size of the turnaround, but made it part of the road right of way. I have, well, is that what the board was after?
Yes.
Correct.
All right, now let me ask a question. Is there any way you can zoom into the hammerhead area somewhat, Bill?
I believe so.
Is that adequate for equipment to turn around, or do you need
Yes.
it to be a T instead of a?
Okay, hang on right there. So it is 40 feet deep, Mark.
Okay.
That should be enough, but it's, I mean, the fire chief's gonna have to look at it, I would assume. But anyhow, my question is this. The lot 2 needs 200 feet of frontage. So I've got a straight line from the corner of lot 1 and lot 2, 200 feet to where this turnaround starts. Would the board be willing to entertain the frontage being, let's see, it's gonna be 160 on the straight line and then 40 up that turnaround to make 200? The reason I'm asking the question is to shorten the road up by 40 feet so that, you know, they don't have to build an extra 40 feet of road for something that I'm not going to say is not a good idea, but it will hardly ever get used. And if the frontage can be considered around the corner, then I think that would make sense, but I don't know the answer to that.
I don't quite follow what you're.
I
What-
think he's saying technically, could he use what would technically be a side yard when the road bends? Could he count that towards the 200?
That would actually be frontage, Mark. So that would be front yard. But so Jimmy, start at the corner of lot 1 and lot 2.
Yep.
Come down south towards what says Gwen's,
Yes,
160 feet. Right now it's 200, so come down 160
yes.
and then turn to the west 40.
You could,
So I'm asking, can the 160 plus the 40 to the west, which adds up to 200, could that be considered the frontage? And again, the reasoning is to shorten up the road by 40 feet.
So basically it's wrapping around.
Yes,
So the road would come, the frontage would come down here
oh, so right,
and
yes,
go out here.
yeah, that's 150 where you are, Bill, so it'd come another 10 feet.
Okay. Come down to here and then out.
Then
to
go
here.
out 40 feet and yeah,
Yeah.
And it would wrap around the other side of it as well.
it would do, well, I suppose it would. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's kind of the reverse of having frontage on a cul-de-sac.
I guess.
I was gonna say, it's weird, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
But if you look at the way we include frontage on a curve,
yeah,
this is just not a curve, it's just a 90-degree.
yeah. And technically it's contiguous, so
Well, it has to be contiguous.
yeah.
So it's not a side yard. I just don't want to set us up for precedents or have Mr. Iser come in here with all kinds of zigs and zags.
But
How dare you, Mr. Dunn.
On a two-lot subdivision, we could probably,
I'll tell you what I'll do, Mark.
if this was a, if this was a, I want to say a 10-lot subdivision, we probably wouldn't be so willingly.
Well, it's,
I wouldn't even ask him for something like, I will put, to satisfy Mr. Dunn, I will put a building envelope on that lot so that he knows you gotta be 50 feet away from the road at all points.
Okay, that's the only drawback to this one, is that you're gonna have a 50-foot, I hate to use it, but you're gonna have a 50-foot front yard and a slight 50-foot side yard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the reality is,
The lot's plenty big enough.
right.
Yeah.
And,
it's a private road too, so it,
yeah, so, Tommy Quinlan is here. I was talking to his father about this idea, so I don't know if he has any, clout in that, decision-making, if he's okay with what I just suggested.
Perfect. That sounds good.
Okay, so if the
Thank you.
board's happy with it, Quinlan's are happy with it.
Okay.
So you'll redraw it,
Yes, sir.
and we can take care of it at our next meeting.
Okay. Was that the only concern you had?
Yeah, we just wanted to see that, we want to see the hammerhead as part of the, outside of the road envelope previously. Now it's in part of the road envelope, and you're incorporating it the way you're incorporating it for that lot number 2, which we've agreed is okay.
Okay, good enough. I'll get it corrected and come see you the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we are on to the 2 public hearing. All right, let me write that on the calendar for next time. That's gonna be do we need a motion to continue that to the 4th?
I'll make a motion to continue it to the 4th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Farmer, aye.
Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes. Very good. Now we will open the public hearing that we had for the other solar applications. I'll read the notice as it appeared in the Gazette. The Hadley Planning Board will conduct Zoom public hearings on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, beginning at 6:45 p.m. Purpose of the first hearing is to review the application of Joe Sikowski Farms for special permits, large-scale solar array and site plan approval to construct a dual-use agricultural solar array at 88 Shattuck Road. The second hearing is to review the application of Joe Zykowski Farm for special permits, large-scale solar array and site plan approval to construct a dual-use agricultural solar array at 415 River Drive. Plans are available by emailing planning@hadley.ma or visit town clerk's office during normal business hours. Published twice in the Gazette, October 7 and 14th. And with that, oh, Randy, you can take your Bill can take your map down.
Great. Hi, Bill. This is Doug Searle. I work with Berkshire Design Group, and I'm here on behalf of Jake Marley of Hyperion Systems and also Joe Zykowski, the owner of the parcel of 88 Shattuck Road, and wanted to share my screen if that's all right.
Go for it.
Are we doing the Shattuck Road or are we doing the river?
First, I was going to do Shattuck Road if that's all right.
Sorry.
All right, great. So, this is the existing conditions for 92 Shattuck here, Shattuck Road, and then the parcel in question, all owned by Joe. As existing conditions, currently, several years ago, first phase of solar panels, dual use photovoltaic panels were installed in this location. And this current application is a proposal to install a second phase of dual use agrivoltaic panels in this back location on this parcel here. And let's see if I can to the next phase. So we presented this project to the Conservation Commission already. We have not gotten to a final vote due to some not having a quorum at the last meeting. But we, through that process, we had also, the project was reviewed with NHESP, and we had sent over 2 revised sheets recently to the planning board. And just to clarify what the changes were in that, NHESP requested that there be a 50-foot no disturb boundary. So as well as there's a 100-foot wetland buffer, and then the town's 35-foot no disturb bylaw. NHESP was requesting this no disturb boundary in this southeast location here, and as well they were asking us. They put a time of year restriction on construction activities, and the nuances of those activities. I won't get into the details because it's more of a thing with Conservation Commission. Just divided up the location into kind of 2 separate zones according to how they wanted to have that the nuances of that work organized in there. And the last 5 rows to the east were slightly tightened. So previously, in the original plans that were submitted, the rows were 27 feet apart from each other, post to post. And in the new configuration, they were simply moved 2 feet closer, so they're 25 feet apart in these last 5 rows. But the rest of the site is the same as the original application. It's the same exact number of panels that was originally proposed, which is 1,152 panels for a 499 kilowatt proposed photovoltaic array. The panels are the exact, very similar panels to what was installed in phase 1. These are placed on a single axis tracking rack system that allows them to rotate to the east and west 55 degrees in either direction, and they're positioned 10 feet off the ground. All that was coordinated with Joe in phase 1 to allow for his farming equipment to kind of work smoothly in between the photovoltaic operation. So that same kind of site design and parameters are used, proposed in this phase 2 for these panels. So again, the panels are set to be 10 feet off the ground when they're horizontal. When they are in their kind of most perpendicular at 55-degree angle, the bottom of the panel would be 7 feet off the ground. And then the posts running north-south are roughly 20 feet apart, and then east-west between the rows they're 27 feet, and then the far east they're 25 feet. Change the existing road that's used as an access road that runs along the northern side of the adjacent parcel that Joe also owns. He has an agreement with the landowner to the north where that road kind of partially cuts across a corner of their parcel. Our only plan is to upgrade the very end of that road, just that kind of farm lane, to be able to make a more defined turnaround area, just a gravel turnaround area. So there's not defined parking that's proposed, but there's enough room for a vehicle when needed to be able to come to the site and park here and be able to turn around. The existing equipment pad fence, it's a 6-foot tall chain link fence that houses the concrete pad and the posts that hold the inverters for the first phase, a second concrete pad and series of posts for inverters for the this proposed second phase is proposed in this northwest corner here, adjacent to the phase 1 equipment pad, and the fence is proposed that one side of that existing fence would come down, and then the fence would basically just turn into a larger rectangle and be expanded. It's still a chain link fence, 6 feet tall, with a lock to it. This is the only fence that's on site. There is no perimeter fencing used for security purposes. It's quite far away from Shattuck Road, and so security is not a concern. There's no proposed lighting, additional lighting on site, and there's no proposed signage to be used in this area. Where the electricity is coming from, there are 3 new utility poles that are proposed, and the initial connection from Eversource would occur here at the second pole. There'd be a utility meter, and then it would run overhead to onto Joe's property, and then at this point it would run underground. I'm sorry that it's not shown here. It would trench along inside the property line to the existing conduit that runs just on the south side of the road. When phase 1 was installed, multiple conduits were placed in that trench, so there's a second conduit ready to go. So get trenched to that, and then the electricity would run down and connect to the transformer on the equipment pad here in this location. We are only proposing kind of a small shelter belt of evergreen trees in this northwest corner here. We do not believe that it is necessary along the northern side. We believe it's far enough away from the road that the views are diminished enough to not warrant that, and that was shown in several visualizations that were provided with the application package. What else did I want to get into about this? Right now, Joe has given Hyperion permission to install this second phase of this when the construction would be completed. That the site, the solar array would be sold to a solar asset manager for phase 1. A company called Sun Wealth was used in this process, and I believe Jake is still sorting out, finalizing who would be the solar asset manager for phase 2. Once that is finalized, that solar asset manager would then select, would sign the site lease agreement, a 20-year agreement with Joe, and their responsibility would be to continue to maintain the solar array throughout that duration. And then, of course, Joe's agreement is to continue farming the site as he plans to do. There is an operation and maintenance plan that Jake and Joe have put together that coordinates with the arrangement of the operation with Joe's farming practices as well. This project is applying for to be part of the SMART program, and within the guidelines of that, an annual farm plan is needed. And Jake and Joe have put together a farm plan that complies with the guidelines there and also works with his existing farming practice. It's my understanding Joe has found that the first phase to be very beneficial for the crops that he's grown there. Broccoli and corn in particular have benefited from the kind of dispersed shade that the taller panels are putting on site. And there hasn't been any adverse impacts from stormwater runoff and any kind of anything beyond what Joe normally is navigating through annual farming operations in terms of stormwater. Of the various requirements within the zoning bylaw, we wanted to request a waiver for the stormwater management plan because we find that the panels are creating a very negligible impact to generating stormwater runoff. They have the same footprint that the water would normally just fall onto the ground adjacent to the panels, and the spacing of the panels is far enough apart that there's no evidence from the first phase that that's causing any kind of increase in runoff or soil erosion. And the second is that there is no traffic onto the site, and so we want to request a waiver for the traffic impact assessment for this project. And that's is the gist of the project. I wanted to open it up to Jake to see if you had any additional comments that you wanted to add before we pass it back to the planning board.
Yeah, regarding the ownership, this will be owned by Sunwealth. They're an impact-driven B corporation based in Boston, based in Massachusetts. And Hyperion's very involved in these projects. I'll maintain O&M for the first year from COD. That is commercial operation date. And so in practice, what that means is once we've built the project, we're involved, obligated by contract to provide O&M services for about 20 months because of the lag time between completion and interconnection actually turning the project on. This project has Phase 1 has been nominated and been awarded for National Agrivoltaic awards. Joe has been nominated for Agrivoltaic Farmer of the Year National Awards. We've traveled to Michigan, presenting to Michigan State University, to Chicago, to Denver. Hyperion has been involved in agrivoltaic research for the better part of a decade, working with NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, United States Department of Energy lab based in Golden, Colorado. This project, Phase 1, growing sweet corn underneath the panels, is performed better than even my wildest dreams and aspirations for it. When we talked about the planting plan this past season, you'll see broccoli there, the cover crop. It's really doing quite well, and I'll allow Joe as the farmer to present on that. Hyperion would be pulling the building permit for this project. I am involved every step of the way, and it's a bit of a you see clear pictures on our website as well of the corn. Happy to answer any questions.
Hey, any questions from the planning board? Comments? Hearing none. Any questions from anybody in the audience?
I think it looks great.
If anyone does want to make a comment, if you would just electronically raise your hand from the menu at the bottom, and that will sort you to the top of the picture array immediately.
I see no questions or comments.
If you're looking for the raise hand command, it's on the react button, which is heart-shaped on my screen. And then there's a spot to raise your hand, which will look like that if you do it that way.
Mr. Dwyer, I'm not finding that I don't use Zoom, so I'm just speaking up. I would like to speak if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My comments really apply to the other project as well, and it's really regarding dual use solar in general. And I've actually spoke about this in the past and raised concerns about dual use solar for I guess it's been a few years. It's mostly fallen on deaf ears, and I don't know that it's going to be any different this time around. All I can do is urge you to look at the science here and look at what we do know, and some of the things we just heard do not about the benefits, about the success of this. I just do not see it as being reality. We're talking about growing sweet corn, kale, broccoli under solar voltaics. That just doesn't align with what we know. And this is not my opinion. This is the UMass studies that UMass has been studying the local projects, and it's clear that they just do not perform as well. You're putting crops under shade, and some of the crops, including kale and broccoli, and it could be 60 to 80% of what you could normally expect. And sweet corn, it's just you're not the latest studies on sweet corn show that the only way, and this is out of Indiana, I believe, that the only way you can really grow sweet corn is if you have the panels 20 feet in the air. Even then, you're losing some of the quality. My point, and to be brief, is that when we're talking about the best farmland in the world, and we're covering it over with plastic, putting posts in the ground, and we're basically taking the best farmland in the world and knocking it down into average farmland. It makes no sense to do that. We're also, so they just do not perform. And I urge you, and I've said this in the past, let's go to those. And I haven't seen that from the planning board. I have not seen this planning board go into depth about what this actually means to farmland, not just whether it performs, but what it means to the actual farmland. We're talking about covering farmland for 20 or 30 years. What does that do to that land? In my view, it's going to destroy it. You're talking about changes in heat, changes in water, hydrology, you're putting posts in the ground that are treated with chemicals. It's going to change the water table. Who's going to take those panels off in 20 or 30 years? Well, it's in the contract, but solar companies are going out of business left and right. It's going to cost a lot of money. We don't know who's going to take those panels off, if anybody. The way I see this is it's destruction of farmland. And all I can do is really, we need to have a conversation, because I understand that it's very difficult to actually, even if you wanted to stop these projects, you would have to change the bylaws, and it would be a concerted effort to change this. But I don't see any effort, not only doing that, but even to look at the science here, because as I said, this is when you're talking about covering farmland for 20 or 30 years, it's just not going to last, and it's not going to be viable after that time. And there are some studies there. I would urge you to go to the UMass studies and see that your sweet corn. It's just I read the article in the Gazette. I heard what you said tonight. It's not a reality. It's what I see is these crops that they're growing are basically window dressing, and it's a great deal for the landowner. But it's not good for the farmland. I think that we need to be stewards of the farmland, and we need to get serious about this. I'm disappointed in the planning board for not taking this seriously and cheerleading for it, as we heard from Mr. Maximowski tonight, without looking into the depth. And I'm also disappointed in the farmers, the farmers that we're talking about own millions of dollars of farmland in this town. And I'm not in the business of telling people what to do with their property, but when it comes to destroying land, I think we need to take a more serious look at this. And it's not what we're hearing in the article in the Gazette. was ridiculous. They only talked to the developers. So it sounds great. Everything sounds great, but when you look at it, it's really damaging, and we should be stewards of the land and not just profit in the short term. We should leave that land there for the long term. Thank you.
Even if we assume that your comments are correct, state law has put solar systems in the same category as the Dover Act. Therefore, the planning board across the state, planning boards do not have authority to turn these systems down unless there is extreme cases of potential pollution. And that just doesn't exist here.
You haven't looked for it, Jim, if I may reply, because I understand that what the situation is. There hasn't even been an effort to do the research on it.
Could I
It has
please
been-
speak? Because I have done research and it's available on my website. We built the project in 2010 in Leeds, Massachusetts. I hired American Farmland Trust to do a sorbed metal test, an independent nonprofit organization. They sent that soil over in 2021, 11 years, halfway through the life of the system, to UMaine Soil Lab, because they specialize in metal testing. There were no trace metals found. Furthermore, in any soil sample that you take, you are going to find trace metals regardless of a solar project there or not. These are ever present all around us. They are ubiquitous. It depends on the certain levels. And we have done research. I have gone out of my way to do that research. In terms of the crops, there were a lot of falsehoods that were just presented. The crops did do well. Joe planted 8 rows in between the solar posts. Each row produced a yield, and Joe was able to sell those crops. I do find it wholly offensive to tell farmers what to do on their farmland. When we are losing farmland, the number 2 loss of farmland in the Commonwealth is fallow farmland, farmers not being able to make it. I did a high-level audit. There are 128 acres of farmland in Hadley that have gone fallow in the last 3 years. 128 acres. That is just a quick survey that I did online. Farmers cannot, their margins are non-existent. To suggest that these farmers are just rolling in dough, and us as developers, I'm the local developer on this. I'm trying to do right. This keeps farmland in agricultural production. It is a non-permanent use. There is not a house lot foundation. These are developable house lots back there. This keeps agricultural land in production while creating renewable energy that we so desperately need. To suggest that this isn't working, the UMass researcher, I have it in front of me, Dr. Stephen Herbert, who's a neighbor to this project, is the agronomist at UMass, who Hyperion's been working with since 2009. In his writing, in this, where is it? Our main finding is that the impacts of producing crops in an agrivoltaic system compared to a full sun system will vary from year to year based on the weather. The weather has a greater impact on how the crops do than the partial shading conditions. That is a direct quote from his research on page 11.
I've read the UMass studies as well, all of them, and it does depend on the crop. All of them, and you're talking about most of the crops. That's why the other project they're talking about is grazing. You're not going to grow.
We are growing. You've seen the picture. I'm sorry. This is the board. This is
Gentlemen, we're not here to have a debate about the panel. Mr. Fiden has made his point.
But Jim, you should let me respond to that. That you can be offended if you want, but the facts are the facts. And if you're talking about in the article in the Gazette, you said yourself that corn was delayed. It was not up to the standards. That's what you said yourself. And you say, oh, it was only delayed by 5 or 6 days. Well, even I know that 5 or 6 days is a lot when you're talking about sweet corn. You don't grow sweet corn under shade. It's not, and
Let's see a few things.
The suggestion that it does better under shade is just it's just not reality.
I don't know, is my microphone working?
Yes, you're on, Joe.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to try to keep it short because it's getting late. Believe it or not, plants actually do better with a little bit of shade. We've had 27 days over 90 degrees. And when it's hot like that, plants have to work harder to transpire water to keep their leaves from burning up. The little bit of shade that moves in a day actually was beneficial for some crops. They're finding in France that like raspberries and certain other crops do better under the partial shade. And it's not that significant of amount of shade because of the way it moves. And as far as sustainability, I don't think that's a high enough standard. My goal is, and one of the reasons we went with sweet corn is because I want to improve the organic matter on that field. By the time this program's over, that land's going to be better than what we found it. The crops are really nice. UMass actually paid a premium for the broccoli from those fields because it was socially conscious broccoli, believe it or not. You're right, farms aren't making money. The plurality of farms in Massachusetts lost money each year, according to Farm Bureau. This is a good way to subsidize keeping and make the farms more viable. There aren't any pensions for farmers. And this is kind of going to be my pension. And for my daughter, Faith, who's handicapped, this money will be put to good use even after I'm gone. The town also gets tax revenue from this. I think it's between $7,000 and $8,000 per acre each year. And from that little project, that little solar thing, it supplies over 40 houses. And after this, it'll supply over 90. And if we get permission for the one on Route 47, it'll be like 180 houses, which is a good part of the energy needs in our part of North Hadley. So it's been good. I grew up with the Fightenkeviches. Marky was one of my best friends, and I mean, I know you guys, and I have nothing but good things to say about your family. And this is not anything trying to be harsh, but the reality is it does work, and it is helpful, and it does make farms more viable, and it is not cellar holes that are there forever. So I think it's a plus, and I thank you for the interest, but the reality is it's a good thing.
Not personal, Joe. That's just how I feel. Not
I
personal.
understand.
Jim, could I say something as in a butter?
Yes.
So I'm in a butter to both of these projects. I might not be in a butter to this one. I definitely am in a butter to the other one. And the point I want to make is that we can't tell the farmers what to do. If you want to have a debate about whether solar is a plus or a minus, that's another debate. But the distinction between the hybrid or a pure solar field with no crops under it, he could have done whatever he wanted on this one. He was not obligated to go hybrid. And you know, the conversation would be the same. We did, when we adopted the bylaw, make a conscious decision to allow solar fields to be erected on agricultural land as an additional revenue source for the farmers community. It's our way of supporting the farmer community. Should we have done that? Well, we adopted the bylaw years ago when the science was kind of thin, and maybe we should revisit it. But point of fact, you know, if he wants to go solar, he can go solar under state law and under the bylaw, and he doesn't have to keep farming it at all.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions or comments? See none? Make the same motion we did for the last one, Bill, just reiterate what was repeated.
Yeah, the 2 points that you'll want to get are what
the decommissioning cost,
the plan date, and the commissioning cost. So this is, I can't read it off. It's too small. What was the revision date on this set of plans?
Let me confirm that for you. Oh, I'm having a hard time. I want to say it was 9/22.
There's a revision block to the lower right.
Yes, 9/22, September 22nd, 2025.
Then your decommissioning bond amount.
Yes, the amount, total net decommissioning cost, we determined was 19,714. The 1.5 times multiplier came out to 29,572.
And with those pieces of data, then you can make the same motion.
Okay. What was the wording I used to reiterate what was repeated?
On the incorporating by reference the terms of the previous approval.
Terms of previous approval, commissioning cost of $29,572 and a revision plan date of 9/22/25. So we have a second.
I would second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer abstain.
Maximowski, aye.
Farmar, aye.
Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. Very good. Good luck.
Thank you.
Motion passes. And next one will be the 415 River Drive.
Okay, great.
Or what's in it? 415.
Okay, all right. 415 River Drive. This parcel, also owned by Joe, is approximately 8.4 acres that exists off of River Drive. And there is only agricultural activities that currently occur on the site. There are no other structures. And to the far east, there is a delineated wetland that was identified here. Further, just off the edge, maybe touching the edge of the property, is Russellville Brook that runs through the forested land along the eastern edge of the property. The proposed work is outside entirely of the 100-foot buffer in these resource areas. And so it was determined that we did not need to go to the Conservation Commission for this parcel. This parcel is proposing to install the same number of panels as 1,152 panels for 499 kilowatt dual use ground mounted solar array. It is the same type of panel that is proposed to be put on a single axis tracker racking system that it would be again 10 feet off the ground. These posts in this configuration, I believe, are 29 feet apart from row to row, so adding ample room for Joe's farm equipment to maneuver through these north-south oriented rows. The one big piece of this project is largely similar to the other in terms of the size of the photovoltaic system and its arrangement to be a dual use system. And how it is connected through Eversource with a new utility pole, and then one set on Joe's land, then wiring that is underground that runs to an equipment pad. This equipment pad is proposed to be enclosed with a wooden enclosure to have a little, given that it is closer to the road than the equipment pads that are on 88 Shattuck Road. It's a little more visible to those that are driving past. So we wanted it to look a little bit more like a tobacco barn rather than a chain link fence. But there's no vegetation for screening that is currently proposed around these panels as they are set quite far back from River Drive at about almost 620 feet, 619 feet. One piece that we are asking for a waiver for is related to the 50-foot solar setback. Because Joe owns the immediate property to the south that is also under use for farming, and a Chapter 61 agricultural easement. So, you know, it's intended to be continue to be farmed. We're seeking a waiver for the 50-foot solar setback to allow these rows to be as far as the 15-foot setback to the property line. Adjacent just south of that, there's an existing access lane that goes back to the barn that's at the far eastern edge of the southern property south. We want to make sure that that road stays operable, and so we don't want the panels to cross into that. But we are looking for seeking permission to extend beyond that 50-foot solar to the 15. We're also, again, seeking a waiver from the stormwater management plan because we find that these the arrangement of the panels, the spacing of the panels is not is causing a negligible impact, if any at all, to runoff and to soil displacement. Certainly, it's no greater than the farming activities that Joe manages on an annual basis. And lastly, the waiver that we'd like to ask for again is a traffic waiver from the traffic impact assessment, given that there's very few vehicles that would go visit the site. There is a turnaround, a hammerhead. There's a proposed road that's 20 feet wide as it passes the utility poles per requirements of Eversource, and then it narrows to 14 feet. This is a gravel lane to get access as needed to the equipment pad and the enclosure here. And there's enough space for a car to park here if anybody was to come here to visit for maintenance purposes or for there were a need for emergency access. The only enclosure is around the equipment pad that would be locked. There's no perimeter fencing around the site, so as to not be a visual barrier, but also not be a wildlife barrier. And it's far enough from the road that we don't think that it would be a security issue either. And the same arrangements for the process that Hyperion would be installing this site, and then it would be sold to Solar Asset Manager. Jake, can you confirm whether or not SunWealth would also be the solar asset manager for this site?
They likely won't be for this project.
Okay.
I am trying to find a way for Hyperion to finance and own this project. It is a challenge as a local small entrepreneur who has not taken on any debt financing or private equity, trying to maintain independence. It is challenging to own these projects. These are capital intensive investments and projects. And so historically have retained earnings back into the company. There might be a pathway towards project ownership. I'm talking with a couple of local investors as well. Locality, proximity, I think is important to these projects. So there's a group from Southampton that I'm talking with. If Hyperion isn't able to own it, it likely would be them.
Okay, great. Thank you. So it sounds like once that is sorted out, then that solar asset manager would of course sign a 20-year agreement, a site lease agreement with Joe. Joe would continue to farm, and that asset manager would manage the panels as described earlier. And that is essentially the breadth of this project, unless there's something else that you'd like to add, Jake.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple of specifics for this project itself. For impervious surface, there's 358 square feet across 3.39 acres. That comes out to 147,552 square feet. So the impervious surface is 0.0024% or 0.25% of the total project area. The 358 square feet is comprised of 224 posts for the racking. I've assumed 1 square foot for each. It's less than that in reality, but we'll round up to a square foot each post. There's 8 posts for DC combiners, 4 posts for utility poles, 22 posts to support the wood fence, and then 100 square feet for the equipment pad, which is a 10 by 10 pad to support the transformer and a couple of other pieces of the electrical balance of system equipment.
Great,
This-
thanks, Jake. Yeah, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
there are a couple of other things I wanted to touch on the soil type. This is a Winooski silt loam with 0 to 3% slopes. Winooski silt loam is described as deep, moderately well drained. It's well suited for harvest equipment. The harvest equipment that Joe uses, bulk density, has recently come into my lexicon, which gets into compaction, which is something that I've looked at extensively with these agrivoltaic projects, not just here in Hadley, but elsewhere. The John Deere tractor that Joe has used is a 5525 within the agrivoltaic array. That has a front axle PSI ground pressure of 19.6. The large excavator that we would use is 5.6 PSI, so about 1/4 PSI or bulk density ground pressure. The skid steer that we use is 8.78 PSI ground pressure. The tracked post driver that we use, which is the biggest piece of equipment, is a 4.93 PSI. The one piece of equipment that has been concerned historically is the scissor lift in order to raise and secure the modules. Because those tires are thinner, it has a higher PSI between 48 and 100 PSI ground pressure. So that is the only piece of equipment that poses greater ground pressure than the existing agricultural activity with the John Deere tractor. And lastly, I wanted to touch on glare. I talked to my colleagues and folks that I work with at NREL and looked at their research. And that research states that PV modules exhibit less glare than windows, water, and plastic for greenhouses. These modules are specifically designed to reduce reflection. Reflected light doesn't get turned into energy. Modern panels reflect less than 2% of light. And there's anti-reflective material inside of panels now. I've dug more into this and found out more about panel composition. Anti-reflectivity material increases the efficiency of the panels by reducing light reflection and allowing more energy to be captured.
Thanks, Jake. Yes, that's all. I'd like to pass it
Just
back
a
to the
couple
board.
of questions. The 50-foot waiver, that's only for the southern property line. The northern property line will still have 50-foot setback?
That's correct.
Okay. And what is the plan date?
Plan date.
And revision date?
So for the delay, I believe this is, there were no revisions on this site. This is September 2nd is the original submission date for the plans.
And the decommissioning cost?
It's the same as estimated same as 88 Shattuck.
29,572?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments from the planning board?
Yeah, I'm still, I've heard what they said. I'm still concerned about glare for drivers on 47, so I would like to see a row of trees. And I also know that this is a fairly flat area that has flooding onto its neighbors, so this is an opportunity. I've heard them say a number of things about how little impervious they're adding, so I think I'm assuming that's to make a point that don't think you're making it much worse. But I do think there's an opportunity to maybe contain some of your drainage, if that's possible.
Where would you want to see the trees, Mark? I'm not sure we want to see trees.
Or some kind of protection along the south side, because when you're coming north on 47, you could get glare off of those if they're tracking to the sun.
And you've seen glare on these systems from where?
It's a reflective surface, Jim, and it could reflect at any angle. I've been to stadiums, I've been to malls where just one car on the other side of the parking lot hits that angle right, and it's blinding.
I understand that,
It-
but I'm talking solar panels.
And if that happens when you're driving and you're suddenly blinded, I don't want to be a part of.
I understand that. I'm asking about specifically to solar panels. Where have you seen glare?
I do not have a lot of experience with it. I heard him say that they're lower glare. I have a colleague who said he was up on his roof to do something and he got fried. So I understand that they try to make them absorb as much, but you can't absorb everything. And there's different wavelengths of light. I just think it's unless you can prove to me that there will be no glare at no angle at no time of day. I know the chances are 1 in a million that you get blinded at the right time you're driving through there, but people do win the lottery, and I'm not comfortable with that. So it doesn't have my support at this point. That's all I have to say.
Okay, well, it could be revisited to discuss this
Well,
for
could we
the,
revisit this? Could
Yeah,
we
please.
discuss this now? We
Sure.
proactively, Joe and I presented this on the July 15th planning board meeting to get feedback. And we had talked about screening trees. There were a couple of different ideas kicked around. We didn't include them as a means of continuing the agricultural activity and flexibility. Where would trees be best suited for screening? Is it along River Drive, right along the road? Is it closer to the most western row of trees, or north and south, some combination? There's going to be a lot of self kind of blocking of these rows. It does become the most western row if the concern is from the road. And I will again verbally invite members of the board out to the existing site. We can look at studies and use calculators and tools that are a best estimate. We do have a real live example to go and see.
I mean, yeah, my personal opinion is that the glare from these solar panels, any 99% of solar panels, if not 100%, is next to zero. And these are high enough off of the ground that I can't see that would be a problem. But I'm not going to counter what Mr. Dunn has said. I just don't know where you could put trees that would try to deflect that.
I'm with Jim. I agree with Jim.
I mean, I've got
I was assuming they would add trees along the southern border so that the people driving up 47.
So maybe the 10 most western rows, because the rows to the east are going to cannibalize. I don't know how to articulate it, but they're going to be blocking the rows to the east, if you can imagine that.
So explain to me how these are not fixed. These are tracking, right?
Yes, yeah, the panels do track throughout the day. And when we installed 88 Shattuck Road, the first project, there were a couple of officials that came out, and there's a snowmobile easement there. Their concern was not having enough reflectivity of the solar equipment. And so they asked us to put on some reflective tape onto the posts to make it more apparent for the snowmobilers.
So maybe you can scroll down to your section of the racks and explain to me how it moves. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I've misunderstood something.
I don't have a detail. Well, here's a image of the rack itself. So
Yep.
I could do some explanation.
If I can share my screen.
Sure, let me stop sharing mine.
So that just rotates on one axis?
It rotates on one axis along that panel, and they rotate 55 degrees in both directions. It's 110 degree total rotation.
Are you seeing my screen now?
Yep.
This isn't a time lapse through the day, so it might be a little bit challenging actually. But these are the racking posts. These are the torque tubes, hat channel that secures the panel. This is early in the morning, so we're looking east here. And this is from this past growing season.
As somebody who works there, the panels never go flat enough that they would project anything, if there was anything towards the road. They always face up, sometimes completely up and sometimes a little bit up, but they never actually would target any car or anything because there's no point of pointing flat or down when you're trying to receive sunlight.
So
We work there.
When these panels rotate, they rotate horizontally from, let's say, just use a number, 90 degrees to 0 degrees, as opposed to rotate vertically in the opposite direction. Is that correct? If you understand what I'm saying, they don't follow the sun east and west.
They do follow the sun east to west. They're not following the exact azimuth, which is what I think. So they're not a dual axis where they're following north and south. They don't do that. They follow east to west, and they capture about 30% more energy compared to a fixed tilt system. A dual axis adds.
So they do rotate east and west, not north and south, if you will.
That's correct.
Okay.
But it's only one axis that they're rotating on. They're not
Right.
rotating on multiple axes.
That's correct.
So
And
I
there,
think I'm less concerned about I still think there will be reflections, but I don't think it'll be in the direction of the driver's eyes. Now that I understand that they're rotating,
this is probably the steepest like angle of this. So it goes from a horizontal, so we could call horizontal 0, and then it goes down to a 55 degree slope in both directions. So it's a significant amount of rotation, 110 degrees total, but it's never rotating to where it's 90 degrees or beyond 90 degrees, where it would actually be angled downward, facing like where it would really be at the angle.
right. So that if light does reflect off it, it's more likely to go upward instead of downward.
That's correct. And also the posts in reality are taller than they're shown in this image that comes from the company for the single axis tracking company. But so these are, these may be only 3 feet off the ground, but in reality, when they're in this position out on the site, and you can see this at the existing site at 88 Shattuck in Joe's Field, that's 7 feet off the ground versus versus 10 feet. There's some photos.
Okay, I get that. I will withdraw my concern about reflections. But I'm still concerned about the existing drainage. And
yeah, and
if there's anything we can do to, if I were your neighbor and we had a bad situation and I saw all this work being done and no appreciation of making a bad situation any better, I would not be happy.
Now, what neighbor are you talking about being a concern, Mark?
I believe I was sent photographs of his Brussels sprouts that had floated all the way down to the south. I believe it was. I could be wrong. It could be north.
Yeah, and Joe, you were about to. I'm happy to address that, and we have taken proactive steps. So we, Joe and I and 2 of Joe's guys went out and clean the drain. So there's an existing drain in the field that's south of the proposed project. So there are a couple of, there's the newly proposed project, and then there's an existing drainage issue at the field to the south, potentially the field to the north, potentially the field to the north of the proposed project area. The drain on Joe's project, we cleared it, and I have video of the water coming through. We've contracted with Carl's Excavating to go through and snake with a camera to make sure that that drain is clear. Carl's was out there last week. It's taken admittedly longer than I would have wanted. Schedules have been challenging to work around. People are busy. So we have taken that seriously, and we've taken proactive steps, incurring cost and time. And Joe and I are trying to think of a plan for more regular maintenance, I think, of those drains, if that is a concern that continues to persist. To my knowledge, this drainage becomes sitting water becomes an issue in the spring during snow melt. It's not so much rainwater runoff, rather when the ground is frozen and there's snow present that melts off on a warm day.
Jake is exactly right. In the springtime, when the ground has like an inch or two of frost in it, and you get a heavy rain, water does run off from everybody's property in that area. I'm the only guy with the drain. The drain does work. The neighbor and I looked at the drain. We even had video done to see if there were roots or something and slowing it down. But I'm the only guy who has drainage, and it does work. And I mean, I'm trying to be a good neighbor, and I know my property and the neighbors do use that drain, and it does work. We've verified that. And it's about 700 feet away from anything that's planned to change. And the solar panels, at least off Shattuck, they haven't made a difference, because the water still goes when the ground's permeable and, can take the water and it's not frozen. It doesn't make any difference. The water goes in the same. I think everything's going to be okay. We will keep the drain open. We did test it to make sure it works. It's sometimes when the ground's frozen, water collects when you have an inch or two or three or four of rain. But the drain does clear my property and the neighbors. It does, but it just doesn't do it in a heartbeat. It takes like an overnight.
Thank you.
Jim, you have a question from a member of the public.
Yes, Mr. Dilmus Del Molino.
Can you hear me and see me?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
If somebody has a 15-second way to make the video work, tell me. Otherwise, I've been trying and I cannot get it to work. Otherwise, I'll just move on.
Normally, up on your upper right hand of the screen, it just is like show video.
Here, I can stop sharing my screen. See if this works.
I don't see anything.
Also, if you're on a laptop, there's often a slider at the top center of the screen that allows your camera on and off.
I just don't see it.
Okay.
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
We'll.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Since we're talking about stormwater runoff, I'd like to address that. It's been an issue. It has been an issue for a long time, and I would like to see it resolved. And I'm wondering. It would seem that the planning board deals with stormwater runoff. Why is the planning board resistant to dealing with the runoff here? And Kayla actually has some pictures of the runoff that she can show you, I believe.
Susan, I have the pictures you emailed me, but I need whoever's sharing to stop sharing.
Wow, that'd be me. Sorry about that. There you are.
So this picture was taken just a couple of weeks ago when we had some heavy rain. And that's the farm road straight ahead that you're looking at. The drain, you see the peach tree is right there. And to the right of the peach tree is where the drain is that Joe has been working on. You can see the water there that came off of his field and is collecting there. I would disagree with Joe that the water's coming from my field. My field basically goes east and drains into the brook. There's certainly not the magnitude coming from my land that accounts for what you see. Now, again, can you see the next picture? Oh, here, Kayla, yep.
I see it on the side, but it's not opening.
You might have to stop share and reshare.
I tried downloading it.
I can see it on the side as well.
Sometimes it helps to stop sharing, open it on your screen, and then reshare.
This picture is looking north. On your right would be my tobacco shed, and on the left would be across the street would be the Tudrin house that's for sale. That's looking towards Joe's property. The Brussels sprouts that that made their way over were right at the end of you can see the end of the water there. They made their way over there. So that gives you an indication that whatever's on Joe's field across the farm road is coming 500 feet onto my property. You got another one, Kayla?
Yeah, let me reshare again.
And I'm sympathetic to farm drainage. I inherited a farm out in Illinois, and I've been saving up for the last 10 years, and we're putting in new tiling this year.
So you can see straight ahead, the small tree is the peach tree. That's the amount of water that floods there. So there's a problem. And I think a stormwater runoff evaluation would help determine that water's coming off of Joe's field. The last picture, Kayla, is the Brussels sprouts.
And I'm sympathetic, and Mr. Dwyer can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they're not changing the grading, they're just adding the
There is
small.
no grading whatsoever. at
So
this
if they're not redeveloping the site, then
I will get to that, Mark.
Okay.
Yes, my question would be, why would the planning board allow anything to be done on any piece of property that had that kind of flooding? That would be my question. So the stormwater runoff, as I've told Jake and Joe, that's my major concern. This is a perfect opportunity for them to do right, take care of it, and fix it. That's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was setbacks and screening. They go hand in hand. The screening on the south side, I would like to see some screening there, as the trackers are going to face my property all day long because I'm to the south. And the way I read the bylaw says that screening shall, that the panels shall be adequately screened. Not may, not might, but shall, which says to me that's a must. So I appreciate that it's a narrow lot. That's my dog in the background rolling around, if you can hear. I appreciate that it's a narrow lot, but that's on the project and the project site. And if you reduce the setbacks, perhaps Joe will be able to put something in there to screen. Because these posts are what, 8 feet high? These are going to be way up in the air. They're pretty high. And the other setback is the setback from River Drive, Route 47, which looks to be a 50-foot setback, if I have that correct. The bylaw calls for a 100-foot setback from 47, because 47 is a scenic byway. And one of the things that the planning board looks at with the solar is the scenic impact. Address public safety, minimize impacts on scenic, natural, and historic resources. So Route 47, River Drive, it's only one of 4 scenic byways in Massachusetts that are nationally designated as scenic highways. And our bylaw calls for a 100-foot setback. So you guys have got 50-foot setback. So it seems to me that that may be an issue. And the applicant's verbiage itself in asking for the waiver of the setback for the screening. Let's see, how'd you guys put it? The reason for this is to preserve the open, long-distance views over farmland and tobacco barns that make up the cultural landscape of Hadley. I would say solar panels are going to cut right through that scenic view. And I would like you to take that into consideration. And one of the last things I want you to think about is, for me, this is not about whether I like solar or I don't like solar. I have solar on my house, and I intended to add 12 more panels just recently, and Eversource hit me with a $5,300 surcharge to upgrade the transformer in front of my house. You know, I asked them if this project had any impact. I can't tell you honestly what their answer said, whether it did or it didn't. But I'm concerned that the big guys are being able to install solar and make those financial benefits for themselves. And like most of you there, you know, I'm older. And for the little guy like me who just wants to add 12 panels, I have a 25% upcharge on the cost of solar installation. And for me, solar installation, that those 12 panels was a look to the future, like Jake has talked about in his wanting to install these solar ags. I probably won't see the return on investment. If I were to install the 12 panels, I probably wouldn't live long enough to see my return on investment, because it's probably 6-7 years out. If I'm lucky, I'll get there, but the statistics aren't with me. So I'm just saying that, and to go back to the conversation between Tony and Jake, I think that we need to have a conversation, not here. Oh, please, it's too late for that now. We need to have a conversation about this in a meaningful way, that other voices can be heard. So those are my concerns. The stormwater runoff, the screening, the setbacks. Gee whiz, if I don't know why, unless I got it all wrong, but The 100-foot setback on River Drive pushes this project back and it'll go into Concom territory. Now, maybe you're trying to avoid that. Maybe you didn't think of that. I don't know. But if I'm wrong, I apologize. But the bylaw looks to me to be 100-foot setback off of 47.
Right.
Thank you.
The planning board can address some of these. Regarding the drainage is a pre-existing issue between property owners. The planning board has no authority to get into correcting a drainage issue between two property owners. That is strictly a civil matter between the two property owners. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean here, but that is the way it is. The town doesn't usually get into those kind of issues. The solar panels will not make the drainage issue any worse. It's there today, and it will more than likely still be there in some shape or form after the solar panels are installed. The 50-foot setback, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. These solar panels are set back 600 feet from Route 47. I don't know where your 50-foot, 100-foot setback comes from.
I looked at the drawing and I saw what looked to be a 50-foot setback. So as I said, I could have gotten the drawing wrong, and if I did, I apologize.
I'm just saying that the solar panels set back 619 feet according to the drawing, so they're way back from Route 47.
Jim, may I share the map?
Sure.
So yes, we do show this is either existing conditions or the site preparation and demolition. It does show on the south and north sides a 50-foot setback, and then it shows what is typically for the zoning district a 15-foot setback on the north and south side. And it also shows that in the front there's a 50-foot setback. It notes this on the site layout. However, the location of this enclosure for the equipment panel, although not delineated, is significantly further back than the 50-foot line. So I believe this is almost as far back as 300 feet. It's certainly more than double the 50-foot setback, and the panels themselves, just to the edge of the panel, goes back more than 600 feet from the right of way next to 47.
Maybe you could just correct your drawing to show a 100-foot setback in the front.
Yeah, we could certainly adjust that.
So the setback is more than adequate, even for that little outbuilding in the front there for the transformers.
All right, that was confusing to me. I appreciate the clarity.
Sure, of course.
Regarding your transformer question, I will answer it partly, but I think the gentlemen that are presenting this can answer it much better. I ran into an exact situation. I wanted to put 6 more panels on my house, and Eversource said that the transformer in the street may not be large enough. They wanted to charge me a sum of money just to do a study, and if an upgrade is necessary, it would have to be on top of that. So your information is handy, because I told them to forget the project because I'm not going to pay that money for 6 panels. Regarding these solar distribution, the large scale solar, these are 3-phase panels. They will be putting in, I believe, their own transformers that feed directly into the grid. So these are completely separate from the kind of a transformer that your house would need in front of your house for the, if you would, the 220, 110 projects. But I will let the gentleman address that.
If I could say something?
Sure.
What that tells me is that we do need a conversation, not here, this is not appropriate here, but a conversation in town about perhaps approaching our legislators so that given that the state is pushing solar, that little guys like you and me, Jim, can actually participate in that. And as somebody said, I forget now, maybe it was Tony earlier, that you know, the larger projects certainly have benefit, but you know, gee whiz, I'd like to have that extra income to power the heat pumps that I just put in. I almost wish that I hadn't put the 2 heat pumps in, that I'd spent the money that I was going to spend on solar for a steam boiler, so that I would have backup to the 2 heat pumps that I had prior to putting in the 2 others. And that's backward thinking in terms of how we're looking at energy and solar in this state. But that's where it's pushing me. So that's a conversation not here, because it's not dependent on their project at all. It's got nothing to do with
they are paying for their own transformer upgrades here. So it is probably a good idea to talk about something like that. But you're right, outside of this topic here.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with their permitting or not. I would disagree with you on that. The planning board has no jurisdiction over the runoff. I would agree that you wouldn't have if it was strictly neighbor to neighbor. But you know, you have an applicant before you looking for to build. That puts in, I believe that puts in a different category. But that's for the board members to have that discussion about that.
But the solar panels will not make the runoff. There's no more water hitting the ground with these solar panels because there's no impervious areas. There are still grass and dirt and whatever else underneath these panels. Are not making any new impervious areas. They're simply deflecting it slightly, but the same amount of water is falling to the ground that is dirt today as there will be when the panels are installed. So in spring, when there's flooding, frozen ground, if there's a problem today, it will more than likely persist when these panels are installed.
Again, I would disagree that there's some research out there and that in a stormwater runoff study could look at that and get a definitive answer. That's my point on that. So what about the scenic impact?
Well, the setback 600 feet, and that was the one thing we are discussing a little bit about putting any screening up.
What about the bylaw that says shall have screening? That says to me that that's non-negotiable.
Well, you know, the thing is, if there was screening on the south side of this, it would make it impractical to farm, because instead of being able to run the rows through the panels and onto the next field and have some continuity, you'd be turning around in short little things that wouldn't be practical for operating equipment. It would be a real impracticality to put something blocking that, so that now you end up with rows that are just tiny. It's not practical. Just I mean, if you wanted it to the west to block the last row or something from Route 47, yeah, okay, that I could get around. But to block everything up along this southern part of it is would be a real hardship.
How deep is that field from the front to the back of the panel, roughly?
This field to the south?
No. What is the depth from 47 to the rear panel?
That's a good question. It just looking at I don't know the number off the top of my head at the moment, but this is 620 feet. It is more than double that length, so it could be likely 1,400.
It's 1,400. I just measured it on Mass Mapper from 47 to the back end to the eastern edge of that barn. It is 1,400 and 36 feet.
Thanks, Jake.
If I may add one piece here.
Sure.
In the I believe it was the application wording. It spoke about when they were looking for the reduction in the setback, and I don't think they mentioned screening here, but they asked you to requesting to waive the requirement based on the fact that the owner also owns and lives on the neighboring parcel to the south. While Joe does own the parcel to the south, I live in the next parcel to the south. So I don't know if the engineer felt that since they assumed that my house was Joe's house, that screening wasn't going to be an issue. But that information is incorrect. And I realize that it may not work for this parcel, but that doesn't mean that you should not follow the bylaw that says shall. The bylaw says the panels shall be screened, which says to me, you got to screen them, adequately screened.
That's really impractical.
I have the email that I received on July 17th from Mrs. Del Molino. We've talked for 4 hours on the phone. We've walked this parcel together and walked Joe's existing parcel. Screening in the email and written communications and in verbal communications had not become an issue until we frankly exhaustively addressed the runoff concerns. And now screening in the last bit and tonight has become the focus.
If I may, Jake?
Sure, Susan. I'm happy to engage on the screening, but it does feel like the concerns have over time in our dialogue pivoted, and it's hard for me to capture it as we change course.
If I may?
Yes.
I've been very clear from the beginning. My first concern was the runoff. And I said I couldn't even think about what I thought about the solar installation out there, that dealing with the runoff was tantamount to me. As far as bringing it up, gee whiz, it's the bylaw. That's for you guys to deal with. You write your plan, Doug, to the bylaw, not asking for, again, shall be screened says to me it must be. That's unequivocal. I don't know what else to say. And to say I'm bringing it up at the last minute, gee whiz, it looks like you guys are trying to slide something by me. And I don't want to think that way. But, I took today and I looked at the bylaw and there it was, shall. Thank you.
Mark?
Is there a reason that the array is tight to the south and not tight to the north? I mean, because it seems like, unless I'm probably missing something, you could just slide it up and ask for the waiver of the setback on the north, and then you could have screening along the south. To Susan's point, it is a tight parcel and you're trying to get the most out of it. And I respect that. And I want to support this, but I don't,
I think that there is space on the south, even still with the 15-foot side setback for us to plant trees. I think the issue that Joe is contending with is these become more of an obstruction, especially if it's a continuous row of trees. One of the things I think in our July meeting that I presented was the possibility of a tree at the end of the row to provide screening if aesthetics and screening are a concern. In early dialogue with folks, that was not expressed to me, and I have in writing what the initial concerns were, and that was not listed. a continuous row of trees running east and west would be really cumbersome if we were to look at a tree per post on the southern side. We could make that work from a building perspective. If Joe is running north and south, I think, Joe, that would work for you, an arborvitae in there. I mean, it would add some.
First, I'd like to make
Even if you did every other post.
historical comment how that shell came about. During the hearing for the solar panels, there were a lot of people that were opposed to solar panels and they wanted screening. And the state basically says you will allow solar panels. So we had to allow solar panels. And I think we put that word shall in there probably to appease some of the people. Now the state has come across by making it almost incumbent on farmers to put other crops underneath the solar panels. So we're in a little bit of a dilemma here. It's not that we are trying to overrule something, but the state is offering bonuses if you do put broccoli, cauliflower, or something like that as an agricultural byproduct of the solar panels as well. So there is some input from the state in that they are saying you shall allow it. So what we're trying to do is make it easier for the farmers in that way. They don't have to put up screening. And frankly, the places we put up the screening, it doesn't make much difference because you'll never put the screening sufficiently tall enough or dense enough to stop the view that people are concerned about.
How about this? How about if we continue this hearing and give the applicant a chance to look at some options and come back to us?
Good point, Jim. Because if you count the votes, it's going to be, okay, good point.
I'd like to make one last comment, when appropriate.
Sure.
And I'll add a comment after that.
Okay.
Back to Mark's concern about glint. I believe, but I'm not positive, that the new DOER regulations include language about glint and glare. I'm not positive, but I think the applicant is probably much more familiar with all these regulations than somebody like me who's learned them all in the last 6 weeks.
It may not be in the regulations, but they're certainly giving Mr. Farmer a lot more money if he does plant food. So.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the glint and glare that they're in the regulations. I believe they were talking about have a study done, which would perhaps help allay my concerns about having all these solar panels who are trying to catch the sun to the south, that I'm looking at solar panels all day long that have the potential for glint or glare. I don't know what the potential is there. I just don't know.
These aren't facing towards you at any time. They
face south, right?
No, they don't. They track the sun east to west throughout the day.
Yeah, east or west.
So they're not.
I guess a study that I can look at, because this one says that one says this. So that one guy says, "Well, I got panels, and it happens." I'd like less anecdotal evidence, information, and a little more, hard knowledge research by somebody who's going to put their engineering stamp on it and tell me that's so.
I'd like to.
I've got a question because I'm a bit confused myself. These panels rows are running north and south, correct?
Yes, correct.
Which way are the panels facing?
First thing in the morning, they're facing the east.
So these panels are rotating.
So facing east to facing up to facing west.
Facing east to facing west. So these panels do not face south.
Right,
That's correct.
right.
So Ms. Del Molino will never see the face of these panels. Route 47 will see the face of the panels.
Right,
The woods to the east will see the face of the panels.
right.
That's correct.
Okay. So these panels will never face your property, Ms. Del Molino. You understand what we're saying?
I do, but I think it's off the cuff, and I always like to verify. And if somebody can get me that information, I'd be more comfortable with it. And you,
What is
Jim,
the quantification? How do we like?
I guess what I would suggest, take a, for lack of a better term, an artist picture of, let's say, one row of panels or two rows of panels, and show her what they're going to look like in the field.
We walked Joe's field together. We spent time on September 9th together. An hour and a half
Jake.
walking. We did, and then we walked Joe's parcel in the existing.
I think the bylaw also allows the planning board to call for visualizations.
Yes,
Um,
these are them.
yeah.
These are specifically from the road, though. I don't mean to cut you off, but the attempt of these was looking south and looking north from the vantage point of the.
How about
of
from
the
my
road.
house? Did you do one from my house?
We did not go onto your property to take photos to do that, because that's not, we don't typically access other, other people that are other people's properties.
Doug, that picture in the north would be, the top right corner would be from close proximity or closest proximity.
Yeah,
And
it's just to be clear, Doug, I'm the only property that has a house.
oh, sure. No, I
Yeah.
understand that.
I'm it.
No, I understand that. And, my apologies for the typo. There are multiple people in the office that work on projects, and somebody wrote in here, and it was simply missed, that Joe also lives on the property to the south. So that was an oversight and a mistake. So please excuse
Sure.
that information. Thank you for catching it.
Well, I don't want to start any rumors. You understand that?
Oh, I can find her. But for verify that.
Thank you both for clarifying. Yeah, so
What I find kind of interesting is, year I was born 1958, there was 40,000 acres of tobacco in the valley. About a quarter of that was shade tobacco. And there were posts and wires and cheesecloth and shade cloth all over the valley. And it was much more obtrusive. And I think shade tobacco actually was on this field because we have, hit dead men with our plows. And when I mean dead man, that's like an old post. That's not some guy. To people who aren't into shade tobacco lingo. And everything was fine. It was just the natural order of farming and, understanding that people have property rights to choose to do on their property what they need to do to have their farm make a living. I don't understand I live in the past, I guess. But I don't understand the I don't understand some of this going on, to be honest with you.
Simple motion.
Well, just to, and I'll be brief because it's wicked late for me. But the purpose of the bylaw is, it talks about it right there, about minimizing impacts on scenic, natural, and historic resources. And the applicant themselves said that, we don't want to put screening there because it'll impact the natural vista. So, and I would counter with that the solar panels themselves counter the natural vista and make that, and leave it at that.
No, the practicality is you still have to wake up in the morning and get get the job done. And if there's a tree in your way so you can't plow, or harrow or plant or turn around or cultivate or spray, that is, I mean, if there was one arborvitae at the end of every post, I could probably work around that. I'm not certain that they'd always survive the winter. It gets kind of windy there sometimes. I mean, I could probably manage to accommodate that. But to make little itty bitty rows for large equipment to turn around on would be a real goofy thing. And
Joe,
for
Joe,
what?
I'm just quoting the bylaw.
Stop. We're getting nowhere. Okay, we're just rehashing the same old, same old. Mark, did you have something to say, or you all set?
Yeah, I was trying to, if you zoom back out, I was trying to understand. So there's this sliver parcel that we're developing, and the large parcel to the south of it, that's also Joe's, right? And the large parcel to the north, is that also Joe's?
No.
No,
So just this one and the part going down to Susan's.
that's correct.
And is this southern boundary existing, that property line? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why.
One's APR, one is not.
So you can't put it on, all right, because I was like, why would you want to be going back and forth through those lines? It would be much more conducive to farming to have long rows instead of a bunch of short rows. So I was trying to figure out why, so you are kind of trying to get 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag here. So all right, so that helps me understand why it's so difficult to make this practical. Okay.
I have one more new piece of information to add.
Okay.
So to Mark's point about you can't put panels on APR land, there is a suit pending in land court that I'm probably sure Jake is familiar with, if not Joe too, to allow to force MDR to change their regulations so that APR land can so that farmers can put solar panels on APR land. That was filed by Michael Pill a couple years ago. It's making its way through. I have the docket number. If anybody's interested, contact me later and I can give it to you. But that could be in the offing as well. And I just ask you to add that to the bigger conversation that Tony was talking about earlier. Thank you.
It would encourage the applicant and the representatives to simply, or maybe not so simply, look at possible screening and or show how these panels will not provide any glint or glare to Ms. Del Molino's property in the way that they rotate. And I'm not sure what the answer is, but those are what I can see as the only two outstanding issues for you. And we'll continue this public hearing to Mr. Dwyer. What do you think of doing it on November 4th? Is that soon enough to forgive you? 2 weeks enough, or do you want to do it to November 18th?
November 4th would be preferable.
Agreed.
You know, we will have PVPC on 4th.
Right, I was looking at that. For the Quinlan, that's going to be a quick motion. There's nothing.
That'll be quick.
Just need the plan. And we could take this up after PVPC.
So the benefit to doing it on the 18th would be that we'll have another one in front of us as well, which may have some of the same issues.
Okay. Or the North Maple Street one.
If it's any consolation, the sooner the better helps move the kind of the broader process along for the applicant. So if it's possible to have us on the agenda for the 4th, we can turn around additional information by that time.
We'll put you on for November 4. And if things aren't addressed, be at the beginning, put it this way, if there's any still disagreement at the beginning of the hearing, we're just gonna continue it right away, okay? So when you come in on November 4th, I'm putting it on the applicant and the representatives and the abutter to get this issue straightened out. Okay,
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
and that is for, let's see, yeah. Individual. So let's continue to that date. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Would you stop sharing, please?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is like the bad old days.
Well, yes, well, I mean.
When you have 5 public hearings on one night, this is what happens.
Go back on vacation.
Rather than going into some of the other issues I would like to talk about, it's getting late. We can.
Jim, did someone make a motion for that
Oh, right.
continuation?
All right.
Okay, make a motion.
Make
to
a
continue-
motion.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing to November 4th.
A second.
Any
I'll
discussion?
I'll move and he seconds, yeah.
Good. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Done, aye.
Dwyer abstain.
Maximovsky, aye.
Armar, aye.
Zagradnik, aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1.
Thank you, Kayla, for keeping us out of jail.
Okay. So rather than going into, I do, yeah, I'm gonna put a question to everybody about ADUs because it's come up to me a couple of times. I don't want to discuss it tonight because it's getting too late and there's also we have nothing on the annual town meeting the special town meeting on Thursday, but something to think about for our next meeting. And the 2 questions that have come up to me are, I was on an ADU. If an ADU would like to have a garage, does that count towards the 900 square feet? Okay. I believe not, but there's nothing in the bylaw or in state law about a garage. That's probably a bit more clear because even in a residence, a garage does not count towards living area.
So
Wait a minute, I don't want to discuss it. I just want to bring it out to you so you can think about it. And the other question is a porch. If they want to put a porch on an ADU, does that count as living space? And if it's enclosed, obviously it could be. I'm gonna ask these same questions of the building inspector to get building inspector questions, but something we need to look at one of our future meetings to try to clarify this. Okay, like I said, this could be a lengthy discussion. It's getting late. We don't think we need to bring it up tonight. Just something to think about. Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Just so I can take it off of the agenda as a standing item regarding the residences, the consensus was between ZBA and Jim and I and Town Council was that Barry Roberts should take the residences to the ZBA for a finding. That seems to be the proper route, and they can air it out there and have their public conversation.
Transparently, that sounds good.
And Bill and I had made we talked about a little bit that we were getting very tight on articles, getting them in on time for the special town meeting. We have nothing really pressing that we want to bring up. So we said, let's put off any zoning articles to the annual town meeting in May. So.
Meeting is this Thursday?
Pardon?
You said.
Yes.
Yes, 2 days from tonight, 2 nights from tonight.
Okay.
So there's a lot of money on that on this town meeting warrant. So, that's that. I have nothing else.
I have nothing else.
Anybody have anything?
Yeah, there's two bills from PVPC. Do we want to pay those tonight? One is for the EEA grant and one is for technical assistance from PVPC. Did you get those?
Did I get the request?
Yeah, from Kyle.
I think
Two
something
invoices.
maybe just came in. I haven't even forwarded it. I was busy today.
Oh, okay. There's just one of them I think is maybe due to the EA by the 31st of October, so maybe we can try to get that one paid.
Oh, right, wait a minute, I'm sorry, we do have two PVCP invoices, you're right.
Yep, those are the ones I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot about those. We have one PVC invoice for, let's see. This is for the planning board assistance, $1,275.
Make a motion to pay PVPC 1275.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. And then we have another one for the,
Local technical assistance?
yes. And this one is for $9,512.37.
And that's on the grant, I think.
On the grant, yes.
We would move to pay that.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Dunn, no, Dunn, aye. Sorry.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Kishore, aye. And Palmer, aye.
It's okay, the same person.
Come on, Don.
Roddick, aye. Motion passes 5-0. Very good. Thank you, thank you, Kayla, for keeping us on track.
Yes. At least someone's awake at this hour.
Yes. All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I mean, I'm saying roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Kayla. Good night.
Right.